Now, before you begin the sketch of your bed, it's important for you to know exactly how much room you're going to have for it. So just freehand in a nice broad band of gray border before you begin. I used a number 4 gray. Now, the next thing, of course, to establish is just how big can you make your bed? Standing at the foot of it, facing into a corner of the bed, how big is it and how much room do you have? So take a look at it and decide whether it's more narrow than wide. Some beds are so wide that they're almost as wide as they are long. So you've got to make that assessment. And that's how you place your beginning corner. So if I know I'm going to start mine kind of in the middle, because mine seems almost as wide as it is long. So I'm going to start there, and what I'm expecting, what I'm anticipating, maybe over a little more. And don't worry about how many of these lines you're putting down. These give your drawing energy and depth. So don't worry if you have to put a lot. As long as they're light, it really doesn't matter how many you put down. So I'm going to try this. So that looks like the angle that I see, and what I'm anticipating, as we're all anticipating now, is that it's going to appear smaller back here than it does closer to me. And the same is true over here, but this for me is a gentler angle. This is my more acute angle, and this one's kind of gentle. So I'm not going to go quite so steeply here. And it looks to me as if I've gone too tall here. Now these establishing marks are going to determine the look of your whole drawing. So it's very important that you take your time with this first decision. Is that the right angle? Is that the angle that I see? Is it getting smaller? And below eye level, the lines, are they angling up? That's what they must do. Is this angle sharper than this one? This is more relaxed. Is this angle sharper than this one? Because remember, as the lines get closer and closer to your eye level, they begin to turn into a straight line. So the angle diminishes along with the size of things. Okay, so I think I'm pretty good here. I'm pretty safe with this. Now, this is the trickiest bit. How high is this? How far up does the back go? And what you're trying to do is to keep it sitting down in space. So under all the bedding, I'm asking you to look for this simple 2-point box and drop it until it looks as if it's sitting down in space, the way that it does when you're actually looking at your bed. Okay, so that should look something like that. Now, that for me is the height of the mattress, and also I have a wooden framework on the bottom, so that's the height of both of those things for me. But I'm willing to change it at any time if I find that I don't have enough thickness, or if I have too much thickness. And the way you tell if you have too much thickness from here to here is that your bed is going to appear too short. But if you have not enough thickness, then your bed's going to appear longer than you see it. And I have this wooden base, and then I have square wooden legs here, and my box is telling me this is how it looks, and that's what I'm seeing. So now this is something that takes a lot of patience and time to develop. These skills of drawing what you see more than what you know. So now, because our head is telling us one thing and our eyes are telling us something different perhaps, so you have to really look at take your time, slow down, and really look at what you're looking at and see if you're getting the right angles and depths and so on. There's a little tiny table here, it's very small and very low, very shallow, very low. The bed itself is very low. This is more like 1.5 feet, so it's not that high. And I think I could go, I've got this, I've got this, and I've got this, okay? And it wouldn't be a bad idea to know what this looks like too inside. So I've got now a complete box that makes sense. I'll put this up straight. It isn't straight, but I'm going to put it up straight first, and then I'm going to start to angle it back, and I can see the angle better on this side. Remember, you always start with what the thing you can, the easiest thing to see, and I can see it better here. And I don't want to put it up too high because it's not too high. If I put it up too high, my bed won't look wide enough. So I'm going to bring it down, but the lines are angling up just like before. Everything's below eye level, so lines are, this has a side plane. It's not a thick side plane, but it has a side plane, so I have to make sure to get that on. And then the mattress sits, this sits inside. And this has a leg back here, so it goes this way, then it goes inside. Now that seems, then you look, is it looking wide enough? The back end should probably look a little wider, I think. So maybe I haven't come down far enough here. So I can still change that. If you're this light with your pen, you can still change it. This might help to make it look a little wider. Okay, now fix this up when it comes to working it out. Okay, now I have a duvet that's, maybe I better do this before I start adding those things in. Now there's shadow under the bed, so I'm not too worried about how dark that's getting. And I'm having a little trouble. I have to keep my head out of the way, so I'm having a little trouble reaching this. But I hope you're getting the spirit of it more than how this will end up looking, because I can't really reach it the way I would like to. Okay, so I love this. This is like a big swirl here of duvet that's kind of wrapping around this corner. There's like this little complicated mess of stuff there, and this actually goes like this. It's so thick over there. Now you got to watch, because you get excited and your pen lines get dark, so you've got to try to control them until you're ready to darken them. But a lot of my mistakes and problems are going to be covered by the duvet when I get that going. Now it's a solid color. Unfortunately, it would be nice if it had a pattern, but it doesn't have a pattern. hopefully you will have. Now these are piled, so these folds are all piled over here, and there's a mess of. Now I don't want to put all of these wrinkles in. I want to do the ones that describe the form of the bed. So they're the ones that are on the turning plane. They're important to me. The others, they're exciting, they're twisty and turny, but they're not showing me a change in the form of the bed. So I'm keeping my eye on whatever will describe the mattress underneath. And I do have a darker pen to use later, so I'm just now trying to get a handle on describing. Now this is just the mattress, which is kind of squarish, and then there's a soft turning here, so I want to get that soft turning, and then it just spreads across the bed like that. So these are almost cross contour lines that I'm doing now. And then the pillows just tumble and spill. There's one that's hanging over the edge over here, and I gotta be careful not to make them too large. It doesn't seem like that would be important, but it is, because if I make them too big, they will make the bed look too small. So it's a double bed, so it has to look like that when I'm finished. And already I think it's a little too narrow. So there's another pillow over here. And these are quite pliable, so they're turning over each other. And then there's more the outline of the duvet, which is going down this way even more. So you just try to feel your way around all the forms to get what you're looking for. And don't forget, no matter how narrow something is, it's got to have a top plane and a side plane. And there are draperies here next to a window. So you bring some down from the top and some up from the bottom, and you're getting a bit of a thick and thin quality going. And this pillow looks like that. And you kind of move all the way around the drawing. Don't stay in one place too long as you're trying to express the whole thing. And here on the little table, there's a little side lamp. And it's got a straight shade, so, and a really long neck. It's kind of funny looking, but it's good because it's tall enough that it's a baseboard. So it was good, you see, to get our gray border in first so that we knew how much room we'd have for everything else. And we're looking into the corner of everything, the corner of this, the corner of that. But this now, if I'm standing looking here, this is turning more toward the front. I'm seeing more of the front of it than I did the bed. And this is leaning back a bit, so I've got to, so you just keep going over and over your drawing, checking to see sizes, you're checking to see if there are little details that will give you more information about what you're looking at, and you're seeing where you can break out of borders, if you can do that. Over here I broke out a little bit, that was a nice thing to do. And then the floor has planking, so I've got to take my cue from what's already here. So, you know, by the time you get drawing on this, there comes a point where you're making all your decisions based on what's already on the paper. So even if the floor angles look slightly different than what I've done with the bed, I've got to make them jive with the bed now. So I have to turn them and make them work with the bed. And it's good to do wider and then go back and narrow them out. There, and you let them taper off at the end. And there's just something over the bed here, a painting. And I see a little bit this side here. Now, when it comes time to inking it in, you're going to leave your inside lines light and your outside lines thicker, of course. But since we're doing a gestural drawing and we have a very busy drawing, it might be a good idea to go inside and just select some of the lines that you want to keep as most important on the inside before you thicken up things on the outside. And make sure that you cross your lines over. So in fact, you'll have 3 sets of lines, some that are very thick on the outside, and some that are very thin on the inside, and some that are sort of a medium. These ones describe the form, so that they were important, I think. And this described the form, so that was important too. And this one did as well, and these did. And then on the outside I can go thicker again. That way you have 3 weights of line rather than just the one. And don't forget to go inside. If you don't go inside, and I hope you're doing that with your figure drawings, you're not really describing as much as you think you are. It's these crossing over, these places where you cross over, come inside and look for more. Those are the places that really begin to give it more of a look. And you can develop your design style that way in how you interpret that. Okay, so I think now the bed was our focus, so that's why I'm spending a little bit more time and more line work on the bed. But the lamp, I think I've got enough emphasis on it, and maybe this I'll keep that skinny because that's the characteristic of it. It's not a fat. And maybe the whole table, I never go beyond just the medium line except at the bottom where it's sitting on the surface. Then you need either a double line or a little bit heavier line. Okay, and the floor planking, I don't think I do very much with that, but we'll see. We'll see when we get there. And the picture at the top, I don't think I would do much more with it than that. And the draperies, you want to maybe do a little bit of line work as it joins the bed. And you don't want to do this consistently. You want to do it only in some places and not in others, and not evenly, sort of unevenly. Although that looks a little even. I didn't mean it to look even. I wanted it to look uneven. But so you do whatever you can to add visual interest by doing things unevenly rather than evenly. Okay, now I've got a little bit fatter pen, so that, of course, it's hard to control here when I can't really reach things, but hopefully you'll get the idea of what it's for more than what it ends up looking like. And you can add your professional dots if you want. We haven't talked a lot about that, but it might be a good idea now to start adding to our line techniques, not just sticking with the thick and thin, but adding your professional dot or your professional gap. And overlapping your corners. There, I think this is where the drapes start, so I might add a little bit extra there. And that helps to emphasize the headboard a little bit as well. Okay, now everything's connected except that, so that's troubling me a little bit, but there's not really a lot I can do there unless I add the illusion of some wallpaper or something. And this is your drawing. I'm never going to see your bedroom, so if you want to add some little extra in there to help, like this, just for the drawing itself, it's troubling me that this is the only thing and it's floating. Of course, if once we get into shading, we'll be able to connect it with shadow, but for now I think that kind of helped a little bit. And of course, putting a pattern on the bedspread, that would really help to draw more attention to the bed. Unfortunately, mine is a solid color, so I don't have that, but it would definitely add something to the look of it. All of these things, pattern and texture and little details, they're what we need to spice things up. So just adding a little bit of what might be pattern to the bedspread, and I've got the planking. I wouldn't do any more to it than having maybe a little bit thicker line, a little bit thinner line, some for, and then let it taper off to nothing. And then this, just putting a little bit of abstract quality to this as well, so it's not too flat and open. And this has wood grain on it, so I can put the wood grain, and it has little knots in it. Little reflections from the bed, and that would be enough.